There are 4 types of doors: passenger doors, cargo doors, the service doors, and the overwing emergency exit doors. On the forward passenger door of the aircraft, an optional air stair can be installed that is stowed behind the wardrobe. Two passenger doors are installed on the left-hand side of the fuselage. The passenger doors are fail-safe, plug-in type doors. They can be opened and closed from inside or outside. Both doors can be used as emergency exits and are equipped with emergency evacuation slides. There are 2 service doors installed on the right-hand side of the Embraer E190. These doors can also be opened and closed from inside or out. Since the service doors are also emergency exits, they are equipped with emergency evacuation slides. There are 2 identical overwing emergency exits on the aircraft. The overwing emergency exits provide an extra exit for passengers to leave the cabin in an emergency situation. They are of the plug-in type and can be opened and closed from inside or outside. Access to the 2 cargo compartments is gained through the forward and aft cargo doors on the right-hand side of the fuselage. The cargo doors can only be operated manually by an external handle. A vent flap is installed in each door for pressure equalization and to lock the door. When the door is fully open, it will automatically be kept in this position and must be manually released for closing. To release the door from the open position, a rod is located in the cargo compartment forward of the door. The forward avionics compartment access hatch is on the bottom of the forward fuselage. When it is opened and moved backwards on the track, the forward avionics compartment can be entered. The middle avionics compartment can be accessed through the middle avionics compartment access door located on the left side of the center fuselage. The unpressurized area of the rear fuselage is accessed through the rear fuselage door on the right-hand side. The fueling compartment access door on the right-hand wing allows access to the refueling service panel and refueling adapter. A door indication and warning system informs the cockpit crew about the status of the doors on the ICAS and MFD. The following doors are monitored by proximity sensor switches: the 2 passenger doors, the 2 service doors, the 2 overwing emergency exit doors, and the 2 cargo doors. The following doors are monitored by switches: the forward avionics compartment access hatch, the middle avionics compartment access door, the rear fuselage door, and the fueling compartment access door. 2 passenger doors installed on the Embraer E190 provide access for the crew and passengers. The forward passenger door is installed on the left side of the aircraft in zone 811. The aft passenger door is also installed on the left side of the aircraft in zone 812. Both doors can be used as emergency exits. As both doors are similar in construction and function, only the forward passenger door will be described here. The forward passenger door is a fail-safe plug-type metallic door. Its main structural components are 6 horizontal stringers, 4 vertical frames, skin and edge members that are riveted together. A deflector is fitted at the top of the door to give aerodynamic smoothness when the door is closed. The passenger door has an actuating and locking mechanism that permits locking and unlocking the door manually using either the internal or the external handle. The passenger door is provided with an emergency evacuation slide mechanism. The emergency evacuation slide is stowed in a hard container at the lower part of the door and is controlled by a handle on the inner side of the door. When the door is opened from the outside, the emergency evacuation slide release mechanism is disabled automatically. The passenger door has water drain holes in its bottom to prevent water entrapment. It is also provided with a non-pressurized rubber seal that is attached to the door contour. There are 12 stops on the door contour, which rest against 12 stops on the fuselage door frame. There are 16 fittings on the forward passenger door periphery. 12 of these fittings support the door stops, and the other 4 fittings support 4 rollers that go into guide ramps on the fuselage door frame. The stops are adjustable. The door stops and their counterparts on the fuselage door frame transfer the cabin pressure loads to the aircraft structure. The forward passenger door has a sight window installed above the door handle assembly. There are 2 proximity sensors installed in the forward passenger door. Each sensor sends a signal to the ICUS, which provides indication of door open or closed status. A microswitch installed on the support arm operates a courtesy light if the door is open. The door seal consists of a rubber extrusion, which is installed on the inner side of the outer skin, around the periphery of the door. When the door is closed, the seal is pressed against the fuselage door frame to form a pressure-tight seal. A vent flap in the forward passenger door balances the pressure differential between the outside air and the passenger cabin interior. When operated, the vent flap releases pressure in the passenger compartment. The forward passenger door support arm holds the weight of the door from the moment it moves upward during the operation. The support arm allows the door to move outwards and forward, parallel to the fuselage. The door is attached to the support arm by means of the upper and lower arm fittings. The forward passenger door internal and external handles operate the door locking mechanism. The internal handle is connected to the main shaft. The external handle connects to the main shaft via gear hubs. Thus, when the door is operated with the internal handle, the external handle moves at the same time. The external handle also connects to the vent flap shaft through the connecting rod and bell cranks. The vent flap shaft has a separate control handle on the internal side of the door. Both the main shaft and the vent flap shaft are provided with stabilization devices to hold them in the open and closed positions. The emergency evacuation slide assembly is installed at the bottom of the door. The slide is attached to a girt bar. This girt bar can be locked either to the fuselage in the emergency armed mode or to the door in the normal disarmed mode. The emergency evacuation slide handle is connected to the girt bar actuating mechanism by control rods and levers. When the emergency evacuation slide handle is operated, the release mechanism of the emergency evacuation slide moves to the disarmed position. A visual indicator, located at one end of the girt bar, shows if the emergency evacuation slide mechanism is armed or disarmed. If the release mechanism of the emergency evacuation slide is armed, the slide will be actuated when the door is opened. To open the door from outside, push in the access panel and pull up the lower half of the external handle. The visual indicators show that the emergency evacuation slide is disarmed and that the door is unlocked. Continue pulling the external handle upwards to unlatch the door. 2 visual indicators show that the door is unlatched. Now pull the door out, parallel to the fuselage. To close the door from outside, use the door stabilization handle to disengage the door stabilization hook from the fuselage. When the door reaches its latching position, pull down the external handle to latch and lock the door, and arm the evacuation slide. Visual indicators show that the door is latched and locked, and the emergency evacuation slide is armed. Finally, close the vent flap. To open the door from inside, pull the vent flap internal handle and the emergency evacuation slide handle upward. This opens the vent flap, unlocks the door, and disarms the emergency evacuation slide. To unlatch the door, pull the internal handle upward. Visual indicators show that the emergency evacuation slide is disarmed and that the door is unlocked. Now push the door outward and move the door to lock it in the fully open position. To close the door from inside, pull the door handle to release the door stabilization hook from the fuselage. When the door reaches its latching position, push down the internal handle. Visual indicators show whether or not the door is latched. To lock the door and arm the emergency evacuation slide, pull down the vent flap handle and the emergency evacuation slide handle. Visual indicators show if the door is locked and the emergency evacuation slide is armed. To open the door in the emergency mode, pull the internal handle upward, which opens the vent flap and unlocks the door. Visual indicators show that the emergency evacuation slide is armed and that the door is unlocked. Now push the door outward and the pneumatic emergency system will open the door automatically until it locks in the fully open position. Two baggage bay doors are installed on the fuselage lower right side to permit access to a baggage bay for baggage loading and unloading. The forward and aft baggage doors are opened and closed manually from the outside of the aircraft and are mechanically held in the open position. The opening and closing movements are facilitated by compensation devices. The two doors have differing geometry but perform the same functions. Therefore, only one door is described in detail. The cargo door is a metallic construction, fail-safe plug-type door. Its main structural components are 6 horizontal machine beams and 11 formed beams, 7 vertical frames, the skin and edge members which are riveted together. A piano hinge is installed at the top of the door. The cargo door has an actuating and locking mechanism that permits locking and unlocking the door manually through the external handle. During the unlocking and opening operations, the door moves outward and upward. The cargo door has a stabilization mechanism to hold the door in the fully open position and has water drain holes in its bottom to prevent water entrapment. A non-pressurized rubber seal is attached to the door contour. 4 sensors send signals to the ICUS to inform the crew when the door is open or closed. The cargo door is attached to the aircraft fuselage by a 5-piece hinge assembly. The hinge assembly transmits the load to the fuselage when pressurized. A maintenance panel on the door gives access to the latching and locking mechanism and sensors. 4 inspection windows are installed at the bottom of the door to allow the so-called C latches to be checked. The vent flap has to be opened and closed through door operation to assure cargo compartment pressure equalization and to lock or unlock the door locking mechanism. When it is closed, the main handle is flush with the skin. It is used to latch or unlatch the door locking mechanism. Note Vent flap closing is impossible if the door is not latched. The air conditioning can't be pressurized with an incorrectly latched and locked door. 4 proximity sensors are installed in the cargo door, including a closed sensor, a locked sensor, and 2 latch sensors. Each sensor sends a signal to the ICUS for indication of door open, closed, or latched, locked status. The inner side of the cargo door is covered by the upper, lower, and bottom lining covers. The internal maneuvering handle is located in the door lining. As the cargo doors recess into the pressurized zone, a seal engages. The seal is installed around the door and is crushed by a seal striker on the aircraft frame. The cargo door has 2 support arm assemblies that connect the cargo door to the door frame. Each support arm assembly has a drive rod and gas spring actuator. The forward support arm also has a stabilization device that holds the door in the fully open position. After the 3 lining covers are removed, there is free access to the latching and locking mechanism. This mechanism has the following main components: main handle and support shaft, lock shafts, latch drive rod, latch pinions 1, 2, 3, and 4, latches 1 and 2, 3 and 4, latch connecting shaft, lock connecting shaft, lock drive rod, lock spring rods, ditching stop shaft, vent flap assembly, and flex ball. The latch function has a fail-safe design. In normal condition, only 2 latches are loaded and 2 latches are in fail-safe condition. To open the cargo door, push in the ditching push button and open the vent flap. Now, push in the main handle access flap and pull the main handle up to turn the main handle shaft. Then, lift the cargo door with the main handle. The cargo door is assisted by the 2 gas spring actuators that push on the cargo door support arms. When the door reaches the fully open position, 2 stabilization cams engage with full open stops on the fuselage to hold the door open. To close the cargo door, push the stabilization handle. Assisted by the gas spring actuators, the cargo door moves down. When the door reaches its closed position, it is necessary to push down the main handle until the cargo door touches the door frame. Push down the main handle, which engages the latches, and pull out the vent flap to lock the door. The forward avionics compartment access hatch is on the bottom of the forward fuselage at its center line, in zones 123 and 124. The access hatch provides access to the forward avionics compartment. The plug-in type hatch has the following main structural components: the skin, the surround frame, 1 lateral beam, and 2 longitudinal beams, which are riveted together. The forward avionics compartment access hatch has a locking mechanism that permits locking and unlocking the hatch manually through its handle. The hatch is driven during opening and closing by combined movements on its handle and vent flap. To lock the hatch in the closed position when the aircraft is not pressurized, there is a mechanism with a shaft and 2 lock pins that lean against the fuselage. When the aircraft is pressurized, there are also 6 stops which rest against the fuselage to help to lock the hatch. The forward avionics compartment access hatch has a rubber seal that is attached to the hatch contour. One micro switch provides indication. The forward avionics compartment access hatch seal is a rubber extrusion. It is installed on the inner side of the hatch contour. When the hatch is closed, the seal is pressed against the fuselage hatch frame, forming a pressure-tight seal. The following components form the hatch actuating and locking mechanism: the handle, the vent flap shaft, the vent flap shaft cam, the two vent flap shaft bell cranks, and the two lock pins and 6 stops. One micro switch installed in the fuselage is in contact with the hatch by the hatch lock pin. The micro switch sends signals to the ICUS to provide indication of hatch locked or unlocked status. The forward avionics compartment access hatch is opened by pulling the hatch handle. The motion of the handle releases the vent flap shaft cam. To continue the hatch opening operation, it is necessary to push the vent flap. The vent flap causes a rotation of the shaft, which rotates the bell cranks attached to it. As the bell crank rotates, it actuates the lock pins that move out of the fuselage. Pulling the hatch inward and back causes the hatch to move back following the fuselage tracks. To close the forward avionics compartment access hatch, you have to pull the hatch forward to the fuselage cutout on its position. After the door gets to its position, it is necessary to pull the vent flap. The motion of the vent flap rotates the vent flap shaft and its bell cranks. As the bell crank rotates, it actuates the lock pins that move in the fuselage to lock the hatch. Then the handle and the vent flap must be pulled simultaneously to completely close the hatch. The motion of the handle will release the vent flap shaft cam so that the vent flap can be closed. The fueling compartment access door is installed on the right wing in zone 616 and provides access to the fueling compartment. The main components of the door are its skin, which is made of composite material, the 2 bell cranks, which are metallic, the rod, and 4 locks. The fueling compartment access door is actuated manually. To open the fueling compartment access door, press the 4 latches to release the door, and pull it down until the end of the rod's course. A micro switch provides an indication on the status page if the fueling compartment door is open or closed. Note, the rod has a lock that keeps the door open. To close the fueling compartment access door, release the rod lock, close the door, and latch the 4 latches. The middle avionics compartment access door provides access to the middle avionics compartment. It is installed on the left side of center fuselage 2 in zone 147. The middle avionics compartment access door is a plug-in type, constructed of metal. Its main structural components are the skin, the surround frame, and the ribs, which are riveted together. The middle avionics compartment access door has a locking mechanism that permits the door to be locked and unlocked manually using the mechanism handle. The door is driven during opening and closing by 2 combined movements on its mechanism handle. The hatch is locked closed by a mechanism with a lever and 4 stop pins that lean against the fuselage. The middle avionics compartment access door has a rubber seal. The seal is installed on the inner side of the door contour. When the door is closed, the seal is pressed against the fuselage door frame to form a pressure-tight seal. One micro switch attached to the fuselage frame sends signals to the crew when the door is unlocked. The following components make up the door actuating and locking mechanism: mechanism handle, mechanism handle shaft, 4 lock rods, 4 lock pins, the bell crank and the vent flap shaft, which has a separate control handle on the internal side of the door. To open the middle avionics compartment access door, press the mechanism handle latch and pull the mechanism handle. Then rotate the mechanism handle. The motion of the mechanism handle causes the rotation of the handle shaft, which rotates the bell crank attached to it. As the bell crank rotates, it actuates the lock rods and the lock pins that move out of the fuselage. The handle can now be grasped and the door pushed inward. Note, the door will be attached to the fuselage by the fuselage lock pin. The rat door is installed on the right side of the forward fuselage in Zone 124. The main components of the door are its skin, which is made of composite material, and the forward and aft bell cranks, which are metallic. The rat door is actuated by a rod that permits the door to open and close automatically. The rat door operation is described in Chapter 24. The forward and aft service doors are installed on the right side of the fuselage in Zone 821 and 824. In an emergency, they can be used as emergency exits. As both doors are similar and have the same functions, only the forward door will be shown in detail. The forward service door is of the fail-safe plug type, of metallic construction. Its main structural components are 6 horizontal stringers, 4 vertical frames, skin and edge members which are riveted together. A deflector is fitted at the top of the door to give aerodynamic smoothness when the door is closed. The forward service door has an actuating and locking mechanism that permits locking and unlocking the door manually by using either the internal or the external handle. The forward service door has an emergency evacuation slide mechanism. The emergency evacuation slide is stowed in a hard container at the lower part of the door. The emergency evacuation slide is controlled by a handle on the inner side of the door. When the door is opened from the outside, the emergency evacuation slide release mechanism is disabled automatically. The forward service door has water drain holes in its structure to prevent water entrapment. It is also provided with a non-pressurized rubber seal that is attached to the door contour. There are stops on the door contour and the fuselage door frame to carry the pressure load when the door is closed. 2 sensors send signals to the ICUS to indicate to the crew when the door is open. There are 12 fittings on the forward service door periphery. 8 of these fittings support the door stops, and the other 4 fittings support 4 rollers that go into guide ramps on the fuselage door frame. The stops are adjustable. The door stops and their counterparts on the fuselage door frame transfer the cabin pressure loads to the aircraft structure. The forward service door has a sight window above the door vent flap assembly. The forward service door seal consists of a rubber extrusion. It is installed on the inner side of the outer skin, around the periphery of the door. A vent flap in the forward service door balances the pressure differential between the outside air and the cabin interior. When operated, the vent flap releases any pressure in the passenger compartment. The forward service door support arm holds the weight of the door from the moment it moves upward during the opening operation. The support arm allows the door to move outward and forward parallel to the fuselage. The door is attached to the support arm by means of the upper and lower arm fittings. The forward service door internal and external handles operate the door locking mechanism. The internal handle is connected to the main shaft. The external handle connects to the main shaft via gear hubs. Thus, When the door is operated with the internal handle, the external handle moves at the same time. The external handle also connects to the vent flap shaft through the connecting rod and bell cranks. The vent flap shaft has a separate control handle on the internal side of the door. Both the main shaft and the vent flap shaft are provided with stabilization devices to hold them in the open and closed positions. The emergency evacuation slide assembly is installed at the bottom of the door. The slide is attached to a girt bar. This girt bar can be locked by means of levers and fittings, either to the fuselage in the emergency armed mode or to the door in the normal disarmed mode. A visual indicator located at one end of the girt bar shows if the emergency evacuation slide mechanism is armed or disarmed. The emergency evacuation slide handle is connected to the girt bar actuating mechanism by means of control rods and levers. When the emergency evacuation slide handle is operated, the release mechanism of the emergency evacuation slide moves to the disarmed position. To open the door from inside, pull the vent flap internal handle and the emergency evacuation slide handle upward. This disarms the evacuation slides and opens the vent flap. To unlatch the door, pull the internal handle upward. Visual indicators show that the emergency evacuation slide is disarmed and that the door is unlocked. Now push the door outward and forward parallel to the fuselage. To close the door from inside, pull the door stabilization handle to disengage the door stabilization hook from the fuselage. When the door reaches its latching position, push down the internal handle. Visual indicators show whether or not the door is latched. To lock the door and arm the emergency evacuation slide, pull down the vent flap handle and the emergency evacuation slide handle. Visual indicators show if the door is locked and the emergency evacuation slide is armed. To open the door in the emergency mode, pull the internal handle upward, which opens the vent flap and unlocks the door. Visual indicators show that the emergency evacuation slide is armed and that the door is unlocked. Now, push the door outward and forward, parallel to the fuselage. As the door opens, it actuates the emergency evacuation slide. The air stair allows crew and passengers to gain easy access to the aircraft without the use of ground equipment. There is one set of air stairs installed in the aircraft at the forward passenger door. By the command set in the control panel on the wardrobe, the air stairs can be extended or retracted electrically, powered by DC Bus 1. In case of system failure, manual extension or retraction is possible. After retraction, the door can be stowed behind the wardrobe. The air stairs is assembled over a base plate, which can be moved over horizontal tracks and will be locked either behind the wardrobe or in front of the door. The following components are installed on the base plate: an actuator, a backup actuator, and the actuation mechanism. The aluminum air stairs structure is made of the following components: lateral beams, handrails, 11 steps, including a foldable step, and 2 wheels. There are 5 micro switches installed in the air stairs. One advises the operator if the air stairs are stowed or not. Stowed microswitch. One advises the operator if the air stairs are locked or not, and energizes or de-energizes the air stair command. Locked microswitch. 1 stops retracting the air stairs. Up microswitch, and 2 stops extend the air stairs. Down microswitches. With the passenger door open, the air stairs can be unlocked and pulled from the locked position in the air stair wardrobe. When the air stairs move over the tracks towards the door, the stowed microswitch is deactivated. This microswitch advises the operator that the air stairs are unlocked and out of the wardrobe by the illuminated unlocked light on the control panel. When the air stairs are in front of the door, they are locked in that position, activating the locked microswitch, energizing the air stairs mechanism. The ready light on the control panel will come on. By pressing and holding the down button on the control panel on the wardrobe, the actuator is turned on. The actuator actuates the air stairs mechanism to extend the air stairs. When the air stair wheels touch the floor, the 2 down microswitches are activated and the mechanism stops extending the air stairs. The ready light will come on again. To retract the air stairs, the gust bar must be unlocked and the up button on the control panel on the wardrobe must be pressed and held. This will turn on the actuator. The actuator actuates the air stairs laterally, and they begin retracting. When the air stairs are completely retracted in front of the door, the up microswitch is activated, and the mechanism stops the retraction process. The ready light on the panel will illuminate. Now, the air stairs can be unlocked and moved over the tracks into the wardrobe. When moving the air stairs into the wardrobe, the locked microswitch is deactivated, de-energizing the air stairs mechanism, and the unlocked light illuminates. When the air stairs reach the end of their travel, they lock and activate the stowed microswitch, indicating that the air stairs are locked inside the wardrobe by turning off the lights on the control panel. In case of failure of the electrical actuator, it is necessary to use the backup actuator for extension of the air stairs. With the passenger door open, the operator can unlock the air stairs and pull them from the locked position inside the wardrobe. When the air stairs are in front of the door, they are locked in that position. On the actuating panel, the manual button has to be pushed, interfacing with the SPDA to switch from normal to manual. Press the button on the backup actuator to extend the air stairs. The air stair will extend until the wheels touch the floor. The doors warning subsystems provide indication of the status of the aircraft doors. The doors warning system includes these subsystems: compartment doors warning, passenger doors warning, cargo doors warning, service doors warning. Sensors and/or microswitches send signals to the MAU 1, 2, and 3. The MAU converts these signals and sends them to the MFD and to the ICAS display. The ICAS display shows the warning and caution messages. The MFD shows the graphical representation of an airplane and its doors represented by squares. The squares change their color from green, closed door status, to red, open door status. Microswitches are used to indicate the status of the forward fuselage electronic compartment access hatch, central fuselage electronic compartment access door, fueling compartment access door, and hydraulic compartment access door. This system is composed of 2-pole type mechanical microswitches connected directly to the generic input-output of the MAUs. Each door has one microswitch installed and actuated by the locking mechanism of each compartment door. Proximity sensors are used for the status of the passenger, service, and cargo doors. This door indication system subset is composed of a proximity sensor switch, PSS, connected to a PSEM, which is an MAU module. The PSS senses the target proximity through the electric magnetic field of the target and indicates target near to the PSEM. The PSEM processes this information through ASCB to the synoptic page in the MFD and finally to the ICUS for messaging. The proximity sensors are magnetic sensors, so that they may detect the presence of a metal target. Each sensor sends a signal to the PSEM when a target is near, and a different signal when the target is far away.